I've always been good with words. Not literature words or courtroom words. Caption words. I can make a 3-second video feel like a movement with the right hook and 2 emojis. Brands liked me because I knew how to sound like a big sister, a confessional, and a countdown timer all at once. My husband, Noah, called it my superpower. I pretended to hate that term even though I loved the way it landed in my ribs. When we met, I was still working front desk at a salon, writing little blog posts about hair care and covering my student loans by taking photos for local boutiques on weekends. Noah was already Noah, calm, good at spreadsheets, knew the difference between a Roth and a regular IRA like it was a magic trick. He didn't use social media, except for a locked case full of cousins and barbecue photos. The algorithm can't sell me caskets if I don't tell it I'm aging, he'd joke. I built my audience slowly. Drugs or dupes, recipes you can make in 30 minutes while a toddler licks the fridge, Sunday scaries reset with a laundry fold and a candle. When our son Finn arrived, the numbers doubled. People like babies, friends like the people like. Suddenly, lightly used clothes turned into kindly gifted wardrobes, and the grocery store felt cheaper because I was trading mentions for meals. Noah never made me feel small for loving the attention. He didn't understand it, but he respected it because he understood me. Just to keep our real life hours, he'd say, which I heard as a suggestion instead of a rule. The problem is that the machine wants more than soup recipes and stroller walks. At first it was subtle, a brand manager deeming any recent challenges we can build a campaign around, like hardship as a seasonal flavor. Then the audience started asking for real talk. If I posted a pretty morning routine, someone would reply, "Be honest. Do you and your husband ever fight?" Well, I'd share a date night. There'd be a comment buried at the bottom. Must be nice to have a partner who actually shows up. I told myself I owed them honesty because they were paying my rent indirectly with their time and taps. Noah started asking to stay off camera more. "I'm not a content strategy," he'd say, smiling. "I'm a person." I rolled my eyes the way you do with the person who keeps reminding you the ocean is wet. He reached a boil one Thursday that started stupid. Noah forgot to pick up the dry cleaning on his way home, and I had a brand shoot at 9 the next morning for a blazer I was supposed to steam and style. He texted at 6 that the train stalled, at 6:30 that he was standing in a line wrapped around the block, and at 7 he walked in apologizing, hands full of paper bags from a new taco place he knows I like. "I'm sorry," he said. "It was a whole thing. I got your favorite." Finn was in pajamas, the kitchen smelled like cilantro, and I should have let it go. Instead, I heard the crunch of my own exhaustion and the whisper of 1,000 strangers asking for drama. "You forgot the one thing I asked," I said, too sharp. His face softened anyway. "I'll wake early and grab it when they open," he said. "You won't even know what happened." My hands wanted to make a point. They found my phone. I filmed the talking story in the bathroom, mascara under my eyes, hair half up at the angle that makes a person look like she's soldiering through. I said something about women always carrying the mental load and how some husbands think tacos are apologies and how loving someone doesn't mean you should be their project manager. I didn't name Noah. I didn't show his face. I did show the taco bags, the brand name on the side. Then I posted it to my close friends list because that felt like the ethical middle ground, honesty, but private. The green ring lit up. The replies rolled in like rain. Girls saying, "Man will literally buy salsa instead of a calendar. You're not crazy, you're underappreciated. A small high that comes from being seen by the exact people you chose to see, you flooded in." I brushed my teeth and climbed into bed, half relieved, half ashamed. Noah came in with chamomile tea and asked if I wanted to watch one episode of the British baking show, the one where the hosts whisper like they're in a library, and the icing looks like architecture. I said I was wiped. I turned my phone face down on the nightstand, and because I was pretending to be a person who sleeps. Somewhere between the second and third time I awoke to reposition Finn's foot. He was starfished in the middle like a punctuation mark. A thought parked in my chest. What if the post could do more than commiserate? I reached for my phone like a smoker for a lighter. I rewatched my clip, added 2 lines about reminding partners that basic errands aren't heroic, and it has words on my job. Tag-free accounts that repost relatable marriage content. The clock read 1:12 a.m. I felt like I was pushing a button in a quiet church. I had posted public. I wish I could tell you a ghost did it. I did. By 6:00 a.m. my video was on 2 aggregator pages and a mid-tier feminist meme account. By 7:00 a.m. someone had pulled a steal the taco bag and geotagged the restaurant in our neighborhood. By 8:00 a.m. when Noah came back from the dry cleaner with my blazer and a coffee and a stupid little flower he'd plucked from the shop out front. "It's all they had," he said sheepishly. A stranger had commented, "This is the taco place on Pine, right? My boyfriend works there. He saw a guy with a toddler and a woman storming. He said the guy looked exhausted, but the kid was cute." That was the first wobble. Not proof exactly, but the sense that the set I built was turning into a balcony anyone could climb. Noah set the garment bag on the chair and handed me the coffee. "You look stressed," he said softly. "I posted something last night and it trailed off." He waited. He's good at that. "People are agreeing with me in a way that feels big," I finished cowardly. He didn't ask to see it. He didn't roll his eyes. He sipped his coffee and said, "Do you want pancakes or eggs?" During the shoot, my phone went from warm to hot. A blue tech therapist account reposted me with a caption about emotional labor and boundaries and tagged 3 brands that love to be on the right side of a wave. A local news outlet messaged me for a quote on domestic dynamics in the social media age. The aggregator page posted a poll. "Are tacos the new I love you or the bare minimum?" The comments were no longer about my clip. They were about me. "This woman needs to leave him. Imagine doing all this and he forgets one errand. He's probably dead waiting other ways to be bait." The troll account wrote, "Women like this use kids for clout," and a different troll replied, ugly and entitled, "Choose a struggle. When you're used to attention, even ugly, attention feels like proof you still exist." I kept refreshing. I told myself I'd respond later, clarified, softened. Noon brought a brand email with the subject opportunity, and a line about partnering around this important conversation, plus a number that made my stomach flip. My mouth wrote back, "Let's talk." At 2:30, my phone buzzed with a text from Noah. "Can we talk tonight after Finn's asleep?" 14 words that felt like summons. I started drafting arguments as if my husband were a comment section. The pizza stone heap of "I'm allowed to vent," the calm voice "I never named you," the petty "maybe don't forget things when I have deadlines." At 5:12, the aggregator that first picked up my clip posted a split screen. Me on the left, the Google Street View of the taco place on the right, a red circle around the awning. I watched strangers triangulate my life like a true crime forum. A woman posted a blurry photo of Noah and Finn from behind at the park, writing, "Graphic design is my passion, but this looks like the kid." Another account wrote, "Tell me you're not married to a woman who publicly trashes you," which got 1,000 likes in 7 minutes. I wanted to delete everything, and I wanted to double down. I posted a follow-up story with a black screen and white text. Friendly reminder that sharing my experience doesn't mean I owe you every detail. Please be kind or be quiet. It was the right sentence in the wrong moment. It poured gasoline. It came harder. The brand wrote again, offering a rush payment if I'd post by Sunday. I wrote confirmed. Noah read to Finn under the blanket on the couch while I answered DMs in the kitchen, pretending I was building a movement instead of lighting the lamp that would show all of our faults. After Finn slept, I sat at the table with Noah and waited for him to blow up. He didn't. He looked like himself, tired kind and less certain about the ground. "Can we make a few agreements?" he asked, voice careful, like it might spook a deer. Relief and annoyance wrestled inside my chest. "Okay," I said. "First," he said, "please don't post about me without telling me you're going to. Not veto power. Just a heads up and a rule about no identifying details, including locations that make it easy to figure out where we are." "I never used your name," I said, defensive out of habit. He nodded. "I know." "Second, please stop reading the comments. They're strangers. They will not come help when the car battery dies. This is my job," I said softer. He folded his hands. "Then let's run it like a job. Third, if we're going to talk about mental load, let's actually talk about it. Not to your phone. To me." I took a breath. "You forgot the dry cleaning," I said, aware of how small it sounded in the bright kitchen. He smiled a little. "And I brought tacos," he said. "It's not about tacos," I said, and instantly hated that I sounded like my own name. "I know," he said, still gentle. "Then help me feel like you know." We sat for an hour with a notepad. We made lists. Who does what daily, weekly, when someone's sick? We moved tasks until the page looked fair even to my most dramatic internal jury. Then he said, "Fourth and last," and slid his sheet across the table. Therapy, I said, reading the referral letter. Us, he said. And you alone if you want. I don't mean it as an insult. I mean it as a hand. I cried, ugly and grateful. I said yes. I wish the story ended here, with a mature couple using communication to outrun the mob. But the machine was already fed. The next morning, an account with 300k followers posted a husband response trend. A dozen men lip-synced to audio clips of my video, clutching tacos and rolling their eyes. Half were harmless, half were mean. Someone found an old photo of me at 23 at a bachelorette party making a face at the camera and captioned it, "She's been dramatic." The brand sent a contract with a clause about exclusivity and a timing requirement. "If you can post by Saturday afternoon, we can bump the rate," the manager wrote, attaching a PDF with a number that made me dizzy. Noah glanced at the email over my shoulder and said, "If you need me to take Finn to the park so you can work, I can." And I nodded and said thank you and started writing the ad copy about saying no to being taken for granted using a cleaning product that had nothing to do with any of this. At 3:04 p.m., as Noah zipped Finn into his jacket, the doorbell rang. A woman I didn't know stood on the porch, phone up, recording. "Are you the taco lady?" she asked. Behind her, a second woman filmed her filming me. "You don't know what you started," the first said, not unkindly, like a weather report. Noah put a hand on the door and said, "Please leave." I didn't. "We don't feel safe," he added, and that word, safe, made the woman blink. She put her phone down. "Sorry," she said, suddenly embarrassed. We like you." Noah closed the door and set his forehead against it for a second. I filmed another story reminding people not to come to our house for any reason. It got 200,000 views in an hour. That night, my sister texted a screenshot of a private Facebook group where a thread about my video had 1,000 comments. Half were righteous in the way that makes you feel hugged by a mob. Half were vile in the way that makes you look out your window at 3 a.m. At 7 a.m. Sunday, my mother called to ask if she should be worried. At 11 a.m., my brand manager called to say the brand wanted to pair the post with a live and a giveaway. At 1 p.m., Noah asked if I wanted to postpone, and I said I couldn't because contracts aren't flexible once you cash the excitement. At 3 p.m. during the live, the comments flooded with "Where's the husband now?" and "Show us the to-do list, and if he loves you, he'll take accountability on camera." I refused because I'm not a monster. I also didn't shut it down. I kept smiling and read the ad copy and answered safe questions about moisturizers. At 4:17 p.m., someone posted Noah's workplace on Twitter with the caption, "This is where the taco guy works if anyone wants to teach him accountability." By 6, his heir emailed him a heads up that a few calls had come in. By 8, he forwarded me a message from a burner account threatening to show up at his building with a sign. He didn't accuse me. He didn't scream. He held Finn and measured pasta and said, "I think we need a break from your phone in this house." I said I couldn't. I had deliverables. He said, "Then we need a break from this house." On Monday, Finn and I went to my sister's for 2 days while Noah handled things. I interpreted handled as changed passwords and asked security to walk into his car. The reality was quiet and bigger. He called a lawyer. He spoke to a therapist. He called the brand manager whose number he found on a contract on our printer and said, "You are encouraging harassment, and if your brand uses my likeness, I'll pursue legal action." He requested a meeting with my brand agency to discuss boundaries around incidental family members. He filed a police report for the boxing in case we needed a paper trail. He asked isn't hard to note the calls as harassment. He printed screenshots. Not the dramatic ones, the useful ones. While he did all of that, I did a thing that looked noble and felt like bargaining. I posted a video titled "Clarity," where I said my husband is a good man, and that one fight doesn't define a marriage, and that my commentary was about patterns, not people. The algorithm hates nuance. The video died on arrival. The day we came home, there was a letter taped to the door. A notice from Noah's lawyer asking me to cease posting identifiable details about the household or our child, citing safety concerns and ongoing targeted harassment. My stomach dropped so hard I swear I heard it. "You hired a lawyer?" I asked, voice thin. "To protect Finn," he said. "And you if you let me. Are you filing for divorce?" "I'm asking for a plan," he said, and the steadiness of it scared me more than shouting would have. We tried therapy. It helped in the way a life raft helps in busy water. We made a social media policy that would have kept a Fortune 500 quiet in a scandal. I tried to follow it. Then the numbers dipped. Brands pulled back. We're pivoting away from controversy. And the rent didn't change. I posted hit day in the life set to a trending sound with a shot of Noah's hands at the sink and wrote some of us still pulling double shifts as a joke that wasn't. It went small. A stranger left a comment. Sis blink twice if you need help. Another, women shouldn't have to beg for basics. A third, drop the therapist's number for him. I didn't delete them because engagement is engagement. That night, Noah placed a folder on the table. This can't be our life, he said. Not for me. Not for Finn. The folder had 3 things that didn't yell. The first, a list of screenshots with dates, starting at 1:12 a.m., the night I made my post. The second, a draft separation agreement that wasn't cruel. No alimony demand, a clear 50-50 custody schedule, clauses about privacy, about posting. The third, a printout of Finn's photo from the park, posted by a stranger with "look at those curls" in the caption, and 20 heart emojis. You said you'd keep our real life ours, he said softly. I believed you. I cried. I promised. I failed. I signed the separation because it was fair and because the court of public opinion had already exhausted me before the actual court could take a breath. The months after were slow and sharp. 50-50 custody meant half my nights were so quiet I could hear my own hunger for attention rattle like a bead in a jar. I filmed grocery hauls and laundry folds and couches in golden hour and felt the numbers yawn. When I did a co-parenting tips series, comments asked for Noah's perspective, which I would never give, and also knew the internet wanted more than anything I could write. My brand agency stopped returning emails after a manager slid reputation risk into a sentence about budgets. The only consistent offer in my inbox was from a podcast that eats women who cry on mic. In the actual legal system, we signed a consent order. No posting Finn's face. No sharing school, doctor, or schedule info. No monetizing co-parenting. No disparagement. It wasn't punitive. It was a seatbelt. I broke it once. Stupidly. With an early morning caption that included the phrase "solo mom morning" over a clip of me braiding Finn's hair while he ate cereal. Noah sent a screenshot and a question mark. I deleted it in 30 seconds. I sat on the kitchen floor and hated myself for how easy it had been to type those words while I had a legally shared calendar reminding me he had Finn the night before. The worst consequence wasn't legal. It was ordinary. At a playdate, another mom with a tiny gold cross on her neck asked softly, "So what really happened?" And I heard how quickly the story leaves your house once you open the door. I wanted to say Noah forgot the dry cleaning. I wanted to say I love the smell of cilantro. I wanted to say I pressed a button at 1:12 a.m. because I wanted to test whether the universe still thought I mattered. Instead, I shrugged and said, "We grew apart and it tasted like paper." Noah never gloated. He didn't post twins or shade. He was happy in that steady way of his with less noise. He took Finn to the hardware store and taught him the names of screws. He dated eventually a woman who deletes selfies and reads in actual paper. He didn't hide it or parade it. He sent me a photo of Finn beaming between them at a county fair, and I wanted to be angry at how normal it looked. Therapy made me honest. I told the truth to a woman who handed me the tissue and nodded as if she'd seen my movie before. It crafted a story where I was the protagonist, and then I let a crowd do the edits. When the crowd turned, I accused the audience. But the theater was my phone, and I sold the tickets. After a year, I stopped posting for money. I still post, here and there, for free, the way people used to. A photo of a book with a line I underlined, a pot of soup when it's raining. I post Finn's art with his permission and a camera angle that doesn't include his hands. I post a plant I keep managing not to kill. I keep a screenshot of the 1:12 a.m. post in a folder called Fences. Sometimes I open it and look at my face. Tired, certain, messy. And I feel love and disgust and a kind of ache for that girl who thought the internet could hold a boundary. The title of the infamous video got memed and remixed and tattooed on a woman's ankle in Ohio, according to a message she sent me that I did not reply to. Sometimes my DMs still ping. OMG, the taco lady. I type out paragraphs about how easy it is to weaponize relatable against the people in your home, about how a kitchen can cost you custody nights and a man's peace, about how I should have treated my audience like salt. Small amounts make food taste more like itself. Too much ruins dinner. Then I delete the paragraphs and send a heart and move on. Noah and I reached a place where we can stand under the same tree at Finn's soccer game and talk about cleats without tripping over the past. Once, after Finn scored and sprinted toward us with his arms out, we looked at each other over his head and both smiled in the exact same unphotogenic way. I wanted to say sorry, again for 1,000 tiny things. Instead I said, "Do you want the rest of your snack day, Sina?" And he said, "I've already grabbed it," and that was enough apology for a Saturday. If there's a lesson you came for, it's small and boring. If you make a living with your life, make a living. Don't make a weapon. Don't let owning your truth turn into owning other people's privacy. Don't mistake engagement for intimacy. If you need to say something hard, say it to the person who can fix it, not the audience that can't. And if you press post at 1:12 a.m., remember you are not just summoning sympathy. You are inviting strangers to trace your life with red circles. I used to think I had a superpower. Now I have a rule. When I want to film Noah rinsing paint off Finn's fingers because the light is doing the thing the kitchen light does at 5, I put the phone on the counter, watch the water swirl, and let the moment not have an audience. It's smaller. It's mine. It doesn't pay the rent. It pays something quieter. I know the exact time my life cracked because the internet likes timestamps. It was 1:12 a.m. I also know the moment it started knitting back together. It was a Tuesday at 6:03 p.m. when Finn said "Mom, watch," and I did, with my hands empty. I didn't post it. It still happened. It still mattered.